In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create or design a responsive top navigation bar or tab. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can do that. Something that looks like this. Okay, now by default, when you open up the browser, you have it this way, but here we are going to learn how we can when we minimize this browser, and we see automatically the buttons here disappears, leaving just the home button, and at the same time you have this hamburger menu style displayed where the user can click and it displays the hidden buttons or menu. Okay, so when you click, it hides back. So we're going to see how we can use CSS and JavaScript to achieve this. Okay, so to continue with this design, I would want to, let me close this up. Okay, I'm also going to delete this completely and bring up my editor. Okay, so I'm going to take this one step at a time. If you are ready, let's begin. Okay, first I'm going to start this way. We'll define the document type, which of course is HTML. So I'll bring in the HTML tag. Okay, I can now go ahead and save this. I'll save this. I'm going to call it topnav.htm. Saving it on the desktop. Okay, so next I'm going to do this or head tag. Okay, so next I'm going to define meta type. The meta name equal viewport, content is equal width, device width, initial scale is 1. Okay, so next we are going to be bringing in our library. Okay, for our font library using CSS, so bringing in the link. Okay, that will allow us to achieve that. Okay, to do that I'm going to say link is equal to style sheet. Okay, so I'm going to give an address for that. Okay, CDN cloudflare.com /. So bringing in the library, the font library. Okay, .min.css. So this is a library, the CSS library that would allow us to use the hamburger menu style for this design. Okay, so now that we've done this, we've just called in the library. So I'm going to bring in the style proper, and to do that, I'll start by introducing the style tag. So first, for the body of our design, I'm going to define the margin and font family for it. So the margin 0, and font family using Arial. Okay, so next we are going to define our top navigation bar. Defining the background color for it. To do that, we'll also bring in a class, a CSS class. I'll call it top nav. That's the class name. Okay, and I will say overflow will be hidden. And next, I'll define a background color for it. So the background color, I'm going to use a bit dark color here. Dark color. So we'll define here, we'll define the background color for the navigation bar. Next, we are going to define the link and create the properties for the links of the navigation bar. To do that, we'll also bring a bit of CSS. We're defining the class. We'll call this top nav A, which is the link tag. So defining its features, I'm going to float it to the left. Display block. The column, I'm going to do this. Okay, as the color. Okay, text align. I'm going to align the text at the middle. So I'll say text align center. Okay, next I'm going to pad it. The padding, I'm going to do 14 pixel by 16 pixel. Okay, text decoration, I don't need it decorated, so I'm going to say text decoration none. And font size, I'm going to be using 16 pixel. Okay, so we'll define the link styles for our design for the navigation, the top navigation bar. Okay, so next we're going to define the hover style for this design, and to do that also do this. So bring in a CSS class for the hover property. So I'm going to do this hover as a property for this, and I'm going to give it a background color. Okay, and next I'm going to give it a font color. It's black. Okay, next we are also going to define a class for showing the active status of a particular bar. Okay, and the color and the font color and also the background color of our active bar. Okay, And to do that, we also do this. Say top nav dot active. The background color. So I want it to be blue. And the font color, we'll say color, will be white. Okay, so now that we've done this, next we're going to define the icon. Okay, and at this point we want the icon to be hidden, and for us to do that, that is by default, when the browser comes up, the icon should be hidden. And for us to do that, simply going to also bring in a class, and I will say dot top nav, which of course is the icon, and I'll say dot icon. I'll define the property for this. I'll say display none. Okay, so now that we have done this, we also bring in a CSS style that would allow the hamburger menu style to be displayed immediately. The browser size is reduced. So there's a command for that, and to do that, simply we're going to say at media screen and the maximum width 600 pixel. So what we are saying that if the browser width is less than 600 pixel, if it's less than 600 pixel, then all other menu or buttons should be hidden, leaving only the first menu, which is the home button, showing. So to do that, simply we do this. So every other thing will be hidden. So we're going to say dot top nav a not okay first child, so everything should be hidden apart from the first option as the first menu. So we're going to say display none. This command hides other options, other menu. Okay, display none. So we're going to now bring in the command that will display the icon once it is less than 600 pixel. So what happens next? We have the dot top nav, okay, icon, I will say float it right, display block. Okay, now that we have done this, we are also going to bring in the command that will make the menu options to display vertically. Once the browser is reduced below 600 pixel, we want the menu options to display vertically, and to do that, simply we also say at media screen and the maximum width 600 pixel. So I'll say top nav dot responsive. So this command makes it responsive. So the position should be relative. Position relative. Okay, it should be relative. And at this point, we are going to also bring this in. I'm going to say, okay, dot top nav dot responsive dot icon. Okay, the position, the absolute. All right, 0 top 0. Okay, and once we are done with this, next I'm going to bring in another command. Okay, I'll say dot top nav dot responsive, which is our link, float none, display block, text align left, text align should be left. Okay, so here we have defined the responsiveness of the tab or the navigation bar itself. So here we are saying that once the screen is adjusted or reduced, if the size, the width is reduced beyond 600 pixel, we want all the menu to be hidden, and will automatically bring in the icon, will display the icon, okay, at the right part of the screen. It should be at the right, and once we click, it should display the various or hidden buttons, and once we click, it should hide it. Okay, so we are at the end, we are going to also bring in a JavaScript that does that toggling for us. We'll bring in a JavaScript that will make sure that each time we do this, the responsiveness takes sole effect. Okay, so here we've closed the style, we've also closed the head. So next we are going to bring in our HTML content, and to do that, we'll introduce the body tag. Introduce the body tag. Okay, and I'll bring in various containers. So we'll do the first container. I'm going to define class for it. So taking the top nav, this for the navigation bar itself, which we have defined the class above, and I'm going to define an ID for it. I'll say ID is equal, okay, I'll call it my top nav. Okay, so next I'm going to be bringing in the links, the various links we have, okay, and the various buttons as well. So the links, we are bringing in the links. So I'll say is equal to, okay, the first is home, and this should be our active link. It should be active by default, so I'm going to say class active. Okay, and of course we call it home. Okay, so I'm going to also bring in for the other link, so I'll simply copy this. I'm going to copy this here and then paste it here, but it's not going to be active, so I'm going to take this out. Okay, and I'm going to change this. So the next link is the about link. Call this about. So copy this, paste it here, and call this gallery. Paste the next one, and I'll call it contact. Contact link. Okay, I'm going to introduce a bit of JavaScript inline, so I'm going to do this for the link. Okay, JavaScript, okay, so I'm going to cause the class is icon, the hamburger styled icon, and bring in an event for it, which will say on click. So once the icon is clicked, call the function which we are going to define very soon. Okay, on click my function. So each time we click on the hamburger styled icon, you should call the function my function and allow the command to play. Okay, so we do this. Okay, closing this, but before we do that, we're going to call from the class of the icon which we have imported at the beginning of this design. We're going to say class is equal so this is the name of the icon, the particular icon we're working with. Okay, and we've closed it here. Close this here, the link. Okay, so next I'm also going to bring in a container that will also hold the content of the HTML content of our design. Style, padding, left, (16 pixel). Okay, so I'm going to do this in between this. I'll say how to design a responsive top navigation. Okay, so next I'm going to bring in a paragraph if I wish to, or I can leave it this way. Let me leave it this way. So I'll go straight ahead and bring in our JavaScript, which we have also called a function here. Call the function, so we're going to define the script, and to do that I would say script define our function. We'll say function, my function. Okay, my function. So I'm going to define a variable var x equal to document dot get elements by id. Okay, which of course is going to be my top nav. The id we defined above, my top nav. Okay, so we're going to give a command, the toggling command, and to do that I would say if x dot class name equal to top nav, okay, equal to top nav, I'll say x dot class name plus equal responsive. Okay, responsive. Also take note of this space here. Okay, responsive. Else what happens? I'll say else I'll say x dot class name. So this is the toggling command for our menu icon. Okay, top nav. Okay, the semicolon should come after the quote. So we are done with our JavaScripting. Okay, and we have also closed our script here. We have closed the body, or not forgetting to close our HTML tag. Okay, close our HTML tag and quickly go through this to be sure we are okay and we have no bugs. Okay, you always ensure you put in your semicolon at the end of this CSS styling here. Okay, now let's save this and open up the browser to see what we have. So I'm going to file, save. Okay, so this is what we have. Now when we reduce this, try to minimize this, you can see the hamburger menu icon here. So when you click on it, we have the hidden content displayed, the links we have, or the menu options displayed. When you click, okay, it disappears. So the JavaScript function that we did is the one doing this. Okay, JavaScripting allows us to intermittently do this. When you click, it hides this. You click, it comes up, and already we have already defined a CSS function for this that also allows us. Remember, we said once this is minimized or reduced beyond 600 pixel, we'll have this displayed. Now what happens when we increase? So when we increase, it disappears. When we shrink, it appears. When we increase, it disappears. Okay, so guys, this is how we design a responsive top navigation bar or menu. I'm going to drop the source of this code in the description below, so you can go ahead and try this out using different content.